Welcome back to the Pesky Report. This is episode 510 of the Pesky Report. My name is Derek, but you are not listening to the minor league show. This is the weekend show. I'm here with Brian and Jack. It's a little bit of a switch up. I'm filling in for Jordan. Jordan had a couple errands that he had to run. He's running late, so I am officially filling in on duty. I'm excited, though. It's my first show in a couple weeks. I've been out of the minor league show. I'm COVID-free for once. Can't believe I got COVID in the big 2025. I don't know how that happens, but oh well. I have survived. I will be back on the minor league show tomorrow, but that's besides the point. We're here for the weekend show. The Red Sox had a series against the Miami Marlins. They did not get a series sweep, but they did take 2 out of 3, winning the first 2. I'll hand it over to you, Jack. I just kind of want to get just general thoughts on the series here. How do you feel the Red Sox played in this, I guess, Friday plus weekend?
You know, through 8 innings of today, I was feeling really great about things, all things considered. I was having a really good time. Great to get 2 wins, first 2 games, and pretty fun wins. And you had good pitching in both of them. And it was like, okay, and outside of the Campbell meltdown, which I'm sure we'll get into, but it was like, okay, pitching's good. I can work with this. Miami's a bad team. I know they had their little hot streak a couple weeks ago, but they've cooled off since. And it's like, okay, take care of business. The Sox have been great at home this year. They've been, which is a nice change of pace, as we've talked about before, where the past few years they've been kind of terrible at Fenway, or at least painfully average. This year they've realized, oh, wait, we should win here. And then you get to today, you get an incredible bounce back start from Crochet after his worst start of the season. It's like, okay, everything's fine. Everything's great. And then bullpen happens and, it starts to get really sketchy, and you had to use Chapman yesterday when you shouldn't have, and now you lose a game that was completely winnable and you should have won. So even though, it feels good to win a series, you still kind of feel shitty about it because you should have had a sweep.
Definitely. I want to get your thoughts, Brian, on just kind of series. Do you echo those thoughts? I think definitely you can make the argument Red Sox should have had a sweep. Obviously, can't win every game, right? But right. I think kind of the vibe, at least with how the team has played as of late and over the last kind of month, I guess, plus, the Red Sox really should have had a sweep here, I think.
Yeah, 2 or 3, is nice, but I'm a greedy Red Sox fan right now, and we're, on a hot streak, and it drives me nuts that they lost a game, and we kind of talked about why that happened. But it's a kind of thing where it's like, oh, well, all the other teams are shit right now, so it's fine. And then I go, oh, wait, the Yankees won 3 in a row. Fuck me, you know what I mean? And then I'm like, oh, wait, Seattle's hot right now, and it's like, oh, this sucks. Like I have tunnel vision on the Red Sox right now. So I'm kind of like, oh, okay, well, if we lose a few, it's not a big deal. Or like earlier in the week, I was in Portland and they had the Houston series. And I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, shit. When you lose games against Houston, everything, just the way the standings are. So, they're still kind of like where you want to be. But the thing is, it's like now all these teams that were kind of shit in the bed, they're kind of getting their second wind or whatever. So when you do have a game, like especially like the third game where they lost, it really hurts because it's like it was a winnable game, like Jack said.
Yeah, and Red Sox, if you kind of want to just kind of look at the standings as of right now, Seattle's only half a game. Red Sox only half a game behind Seattle, but the Yankees are only half a game behind the Red Sox, right? Now, the Red Sox do have one of the easier schedules, in my opinion, the rest of the way. I think I made a Twitter post about this like a month ago. After that off day on Thursday, it was, albeit Cleveland now is starting to win. So now Cleveland and both Detroit you have to play, who are both over 500. As of a couple of weeks ago, it was only Detroit, besides out of division opponents, that was over 500. Red Sox still have a 4-game lead over Cleveland, though, so they are still firmly in a playoff spot. But as the season winds down, seeding is definitely going to start getting into things. As of right now, the Red Sox would be slated to have to go to Seattle for the wild card series. Would not necessarily be a fun one. If the Yankees were to jump the Red Sox then would be slated to go to Houston, and we did just see how that went. Not necessarily favorably. Back to you, Jack. In terms of this series, did it kind of open up your eye, at least in the third game, of, hey, maybe the Red Sox, maybe they're missing a small little piece in terms of like bullpen because they had to use Chapman, and then Chapman doesn't pitch today, and they end up blowing the lead, and they end up giving up 3 in the ninth, and they lose 5-3.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something you can look at, and I think you consider, and I understand the price for rental relievers at the deadline was high this year, and you had to overpay to get guys. You look at the prices that the Mets paid for, like, they got like 3 or 4 different guys into that Mets bullpen, and what other teams were doing. You had to give up a high price to get good middle, like, or high leverage type guys, even non-closers. Like, I'm not talking your Durans or your Helsleys, but like guys who are like, okay. But you look at it right now, and with Bernardino exiled to Worcester due to him being overused as hell, it becomes, okay, Chapman is locked in as your closer, and like Whitlock, notwithstanding, he gave up a run today, but it's like, on the whole, he's been good. But then you really start, Weisert's been overworked to hell. I think he still has the most appearances of any reliever in baseball this year, which is nutty. And then, Hicks has been kind of a disaster to this point, and it seems like they're uncomfortable using Matz. I don't know if that's a Cora thing or what it is, but I kind of assumed when they got him, he was going to get more opportunity than he's kind of gotten to this point. And so, yeah, it definitely makes it look like, yeah, a guy who can fill in, a right-handed reliever for like the 7th, 8th inning is something they could use. Now, granted, case can be made, that's supposed to be Justin Slayton. And maybe on July 31st, they thought Justin Slayton would be pitching by mid-August. And that's not the case. And that's where the disconnect comes. And who knows, when Slayton's back, this might just be a LOL. This is a 1-game thing and we move on and it's fine. But if you don't get Slayton back, it starts to get sketchy.
Yeah, I mean, also chuck in, you also like being on the minor league show. Hey, Luis Guerrero is also hopefully coming back at some point, right? At least, at the very least, Guerrero maybe could spell like maybe a Weiser Phantom IL or something, right? Just because he's been overworked like crazy. It is very, like, you look at the bullpen, Chapman having to pitch on Saturday kind of killed their 9th inning today, right? Yeah. And the thing is, if you just were like, if you kind of went back maybe 10 years from now, I think Chapman still pitches today because he only threw 4 pitches in the game, and then he only threw 11 on Friday, right? So between the 2 days, he only threw 15 pitches in the game. But I think now with the idea that teams have of like, yeah, he pitched back-to-back games. It's not just the pitches on the mound; it's warming up. In the bullpen, the pitches when you come out of the bullpen, warming up before the inning, even as a closer, right? Like, it does tally up. And Chapman is, he's 37, right? He's not a spring chicken anymore. I mean, yeah, it's nice to see him pump 100 plus, but like, you can't be doing that every day. Obviously, when you get to the postseason, a little bit different formatting of how the games are played for the most part, outside of the wild card series where it's just like 3 days straight. It's pretty much 2 home games. It's two teams are one team's at home for 2, another team's at home for 2, and then back for 1 in the division series. Yes, in the league championship and World Series, you do have the 3 in the middle. But you're not typically having 3 games in a row. But for now, the Red Sox, they have 3-game series, and albeit it's a 2-game series against Baltimore coming up, albeit, right? That figures. But having Chapman pitching on the Saturday just kind of killed them in some ways. And then Whitlock, I'm assuming they didn't want him to go 2 after he gave up a run. It's not like he gives up the run. He went 21 pitches, so they probably didn't want to chuck him out for a 2nd inning at that point. Yeah, he did pitch on Friday. He also only threw 4 pitches on Friday. But I think Whitlock was maybe not, I guess, not efficient enough pitch count-wise. The fact he was already up to 21 pitches, I think, kind of killed any chance of him going 2 innings, I think, as well. I don't know. That's just kind of what I'm thinking. Also, I'll just also note, too, Justin Wilson pitched Friday and Saturday. 8 pitches and 6 pitches. Not a lot. Still pitched back-to-back days. Weiser hadn't pitched since Wednesday. 14 pitches on Wednesday, hadn't pitched since then. And then Matt did throw 8 yesterday, but that's kind of negligible because if Weissert gets the job done, you don't need Matt's. So it very much feels like Weissert's the third guy in the bullpen right now in terms of it's Whitlock and Chapman are the 8th and 9th inning guys, and then before it's Weissert, who's extremely overworked, and let's get Slayton healthy, hopefully. Brian, what are your thoughts on just kind of the general picture of the bullpen right now? To be cut, like I know we've kind of talked about it for a little bit. I don't know if you're just echoing what we have, or you have anything else. They mixed and matched people, right? They bring up Giovanni Moran,
I think you guys, you're 100% right. I think that the thinking with you didn't want to bring in Chapman, but you did bring in Chapman, but you figured, okay, if we have Crochet the next day, maybe we're not going to need him. But lately, Crochet's been kind of strikeout, home run, strikeout, and then all of a sudden, like today's game, he just kind of lost his control for like a little bit and whatever. Matz gave up the home run, but I mean, whatever there, maybe that doesn't happen. Maybe Whitlock doesn't do what he does. But bottom line, you get a hold of a 5-run lead. And I think that you said something about Guerrero earlier. Derrik, you're a good guy to talk to about this because you do the minor league show. I know you've been sick for a minute. Is there anybody in the pipeline? Jordan and I have like this fantasy of like Peyton Tolley coming in and doing like a bullpen thing for like a month and just, hey, listen, pick 2 pitches, throw them as hard as you can, call it a day because they got a bunch of crap basically up until Whitlock. So let's take some skill. Let's do something here. Slayton said he's fine. There's no pain. It was a pinched nerve, but that was a week and a half ago, Jack, now I think when we heard that story.
Something like that.
He says he's never felt better this year. Okay, well then why aren't you pitching? Okay, so whatever. And then Hendricks is like, I'm pitching, but I'm not pitching. I don't know, whatever. But is there anybody that we don't know about? Maybe a AAA guy or anybody who can come in and just pitch the 7th inning so that we're not burning through Chapman left and right. I mean, is there a guy that we're missing? I mean, what's going on here?
I will check out the name Nick Birdie just because he's been good when he's been healthy. This is like the continuous issue with Nick Birdie over his career. He cannot stay healthy, right? So yes, he got DFA'd and an option to Worcester. It seems like he's sticking in Worcester, so that's nice. I don't think Tolley's necessarily going to be an option this year. I think he could be, right? The fastball would absolutely play. But I think they'd rather leave him in Worcester to work. The issue with Tolley, I'll put this with the issue in Tolley. Tolley's fastball still might be too good for Worcester, where he'll overpower hitters in Worcester with it. And this isn't a knock on Tolley. He's a legitimate top, potentially 20 to 30 prospect in baseball potentially, right? So this isn't like a knock on him. But the secondaries are not as good as his fastball because his fastball is so damn good, right? And I think there might be some concern that you rush him to the big leagues, that he could end up in the big leagues being a one-pitch pitcher, which isn't, or at least for the rest of the year, which don't get me wrong, his fastball is good enough where he probably could make it work. But I don't think there's necessarily a need, whereas you have a guy like David Sandlin, who is Rule 5 eligible this offseason. They've already moved him to the bullpen. His stuff is as good as anyone's in the system, maybe minus Tolley, right? So Sandlin, I think, is the guy. He's only made, he's only pitched 9 2/3 innings in Worcester. 5 games, just 1 start. The ERA is not great. It's a 7.45 ERA, but the FIP's 4.33. He's still also too. I think with Sandlin, he's never pitched in a true bullpen role, so there is a little bit of an adjustment period there as well. But I think Sandlin might be your kind of one guy where it's where he's not like your traditional, he's not a full-blown reliever, just big league depth there. He has a chance. He has the stuff, but it is a little bit of a transition for him just because he's never pitched out of the bullpen in a legitimate bullpen role ever, right? And so I think in that case, it might take a little bit for him to kind of, I guess, get acclimated to pitching out of the bullpen. He hasn't been bad. He went an inning and a third. He did give up 2 runs in that game, but then he went 2 innings, only 1 run, 2/3 of an inning, no runs. Then he gave up 4 in his last appearance, which was a shaky outing. But I think like I said, I think it's kind of just he hasn't really pitched out of the bullpen yet, and they still right now have him going 33 pitches, 36 pitches, then 20 and 22. So they're starting to kind of lower his pitch count. But it like I said, I think there's a little bit of an adjustment period there. I think Tolley, they very much are still like they still have him working long. They still have him throwing about 70 pitches. So I don't see him. I don't see him factoring unless it's like we don't have anything. We're already in the postseason. The minor league season's done. God forbid someone gets hurt. He's been in the org. Screw it. He's going to make his debut, right, in the postseason. I think that's how you get Tolley. I don't think Tolley's a regular season option, I guess, is kind of how I'm putting it.
So best case scenario, Slayton has to get healthy or we're kind of screwed.
Yes, no. I do wonder what I think Slayton being healthy obviously helps. I have been a massive Jordan Hicks guy, so it kind of sucks that he hasn't been great. Albeit he's another guy. Obviously, he has been a good reliever before, but was starting earlier in the year. I don't know how much leeway you want to give him. But we've seen how good he can be in the past. I mean, hell, the Red Sox had Hansel Robles basically be lights out in September of 2021. So you can absolutely catch lightning in a bottle with someone who we're not thinking of, whether it's a Sandlin, whether it's Jordan Hicks pops up and starts pitching amazing, whoever it might be. Luis Guerrero comes back and looks amazing, right? They let him actually throw his best pitch, which is his fastball. I don't know why they don't let him throw it. So I think like there isn't a chance maybe you could catch lightning in a bottle. I do wonder, let's say Kyle Harrison figures into the rotation. I don't see them DFAing Walker Buehler. We saw what he looked like late in the postseason last year. Maybe he goes into the bullpen as a different pitcher, right? Who knows? I don't know. Or maybe it's Dustin May. Maybe Dustin May ends up in the bullpen, right? I don't know what it's necessarily going to look like. But we know what Dustin May can do, in short outings. I mean, even his first start with the Red Sox looked good early and then faded, right? So I don't think it's all lost. But I think as of right now, you look kind of the next week or so, it's a little bit, they're kind of just, they have what they have right now. By the time the postseason comes around, though, like you would expect Slayton's going to be back. One of Buehler or May are going to be in the bullpen. And honestly, wouldn't be shocked if it's both. And then if they get to the fourth game in the wild card, there's no fourth game in the wild card series, so you don't really have to worry about it. So they might both be in the bullpen at that point, right? So I think in that sense, it's kind of for now though, it's kind of they have what they have, and they got to wait for Slayton to be healthy. As September rolls around, though, I wouldn't be shocked if it is like someone like a Slayton getting a chance, not Slayton, someone like a Sandlin getting a chance or someone like that. That's kind of where my head's at least.
Just gonna get there. All right.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. The good thing for the Red Sox, I don't know if it's a good thing necessarily, but the Red Sox have beat up on the Yankees this year. They do play the Yankees this week. That's a big series for them. I think that's going to be a very telltale series. That is the weekend series, so both of you guys will have that. It's a 4-game series actually for the Red Sox. Funnily enough, the game the Red Sox have Crochet slated to pitch on per Fangraphs is in between the Fried and Rodon games for the Yankees. So I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but that's just how the pitching matchups fall into place. Outside of that, let's talk a little bit about on the offensive side of things. I think there's a little bit with this Red Sox team. They did have the 7-run outburst, kind of. Maybe not outburst is the right word on Saturday, but two runs in the first game, three in the last game. Is there a little bit of worry just in general with the relative streakiness of the offense, or is it something where even if it's a somewhat of a concern, you look at it and go, yeah, but if this team gets hot, good luck beating them? Jack, what are your thoughts on the offense?
Somewhere between the two. This is truthfully where I am. Because when this team is when they're firing on all cylinders, it's a blast. And it's like, okay, you feel good. They're scoring runs. They're doing the airplane celebration. It's like, okay, like this team can beat any team in baseball. I feel good. And then they have like their moments where like you can argue, while I, wanted the sweep here, you could argue there's a world where they don't deserve to win on Friday, considering that Trevor Story was all that showed up to play on Friday, and the other 8 guys really didn't do much. So it's like, it can be worrisome, and especially now we don't know what the deal is with Willier. He says he's fine, but they're sending Nate Eaton on the shuttle anyway, just in case. So if you're missing Willier, that's another loss if he's going to be out, even if it's a minimum stint. You want that bat in the lineup because, yeah, he's been kind of hot and cold, but that's probably your best home run threat. And I mean, the thing that does freak me out, obviously, is the Cedon coldness. And it's like, is it a correlation without causation with the second base thing? Or is it that now that he's over at second, whether it's a lack of focus or what it is, I forget who it was that posted the OPS tracker from every day since Cedon first played second base this year, and it just keeps plummeting. So yeah, at one point he was, maybe the best player on the team overall, and now that's very much faltered. And I'm not expecting Cedon to be, high 700s OPS guy, locked in, no questions asked, but he's better than what he has been over the past few weeks. And so they're going to need more out of him if they want to be a serious contender.
I do wonder if Willier's injury is like something that at least he might miss a little bit of time, even if it's a minimum IL stint, even if it's not an IL stint, but it's short.
Yeah.
But obviously the Red Sox do, like, they can put Rafaela back in center, right? And they can run an outfield of Duran, Rafaela, and Anthony, right? But where does Rob Refsnyder fit in this? Because I've started to note, like, he has had his struggles as of late, and I'm not like, this isn't like Rob Refsnyder needs to, like, get off the team. No, this is like, Rob Refsnyder is very valuable. But part of me does get a little bit concerned considering his last 20 games, he's only hitting 235. And I know they were playing him a lot more against right-handed pitching at certain points. But is there a little bit of concern if Refsnyder is struggling even against lefties from time to time, and he hasn't been the greatest pinch hitter, and now you lose Willier, who's the strong side of that platoon, right? Is there a little bit of a concern there in terms of filling that hole in the lineup, like you mentioned, because now it's not, you can't just fall back on the idea that Refsnyder's going to come in for a few days, he's going to get hot, and when Willier's back, go back to the platoon. Brian, what are your thoughts on that?
No, I absolutely agree. I mean, I think that, that's something to keep an eye on. And, it's the kind of thing where it's, when we were facing every single lefty in the world, Refsnyder looks great, but as soon as he fits righties, he comes back to earth. And it's just something to keep an eye on in the future.
Yeah, definitely. I like, this isn't me saying that I think Refsnyder is like bad or anything. Like I said, I think he's very valuable. I really do think he's valuable. I think having a guy who can mash it. We've seen how valuable Romy Gonzalez is, right? A guy who can, and we've seen Refsnyder the last 2 years how valuable he has been. Other than that, well, I do want to the last, I guess, 2 weeks or so, the Red Sox have very much solidified Roman Anthony as leadoff hitter, with Duran hitting third. But Yoshida's been in the middle of the lineup, and for all the talk of the Red Sox lineup struggling, I think Yoshida's probably catching a decent amount of the blame. And when you hear he's hitting fourth or fifth the majority of the time, it is relatively fair. Is Alex Cora in the right mind hitting Yoshida fifth? Because I think from my point of view in this, is someone who in my head is always like, what's the optimal lineup? I've always thought, like, because when everyone was like I've looked at the San Diego Padres, I'm like, why don't they just hit Luis Suarez fifth or sixth? The big boppers get on base, and then if the big boppers get on base in front of our eyes, all it takes is a knock or a sac fly or something. And it feels like Yoshida is like the typical, like, he's gonna put the ball in play guy. The only concern is it might just be a ground ball to the second baseman 90% of the time. I'm exaggerating, obviously. I love Yoshida, right? I think everyone who, in terms of the person, I think everyone loves Yoshida. But I think there's got to be a little bit of a concern. Everyone, obviously, there was a lot of talk at the deadline about the Red Sox getting a bat. It didn't happen. I think I think you could maybe make somewhat of an argument. The reason it didn't happen is, oh, well, Yoshida's going to DH, or at least Yoshida's coming back. And I think now that you kind of look at it and you see that Yoshida struggled coming back, and it like, does it maybe kind of hindsight 2020, Red Sox should have gone to bat at the deadline, or is it very much a Yoshida's still figuring it out, but when he gets hot, like, how do we feel on Yoshida? Because hitting him fifth right now seems to be, especially behind Story, who, let's be honest, right now that's not a lot of protection for Story, and when Story's hot, it feels like teams could just choose to pitch around him. And I don't know. That's kind of what I'm thinking right now. But also, too, I don't know how comfortable Yoshida is hitting like 7th or 8th.
Yeah.
So I don't know how Alex Cora manages that. If it were up to you, Jack, how would you manage the lineup right now? Because it is very much because it is still a lefty heavy lineup.
Yeah.
When Yoshida's playing, there's 4 lefties in there, and that is, we'll get to Meyer in a second, but Meyer's injury has given them 1 less lefty, but they're still extremely lefty heavy, right? So how would you figure out this lineup right now? I think the top 4 set right now.
100%.
But after that, how do you figure out 5 through 9 with this lineup right now?
I mean, you play roulette. It's hard. Like it really feels like, and this has always been the case with Alex Cora, is Cora will just kind of do weird shit with the lineup sometimes, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you get Nate Eaton hitting leadoff 2 games in a row, and you're like, Alex, why? But then he almost hit that home run, and it hit the ladder that one time, and that was really cool. So it's tricky. I think the big thing that I kind of have my eyes on right now, and it's not even necessarily a lineup construction thing, is it kind of sort of feels like as soon as Nathaniel Lowe clears release waivers, I'm putting it at like 80% he's a Red Sox. I really am. Because the Abraham Toro experiment has reached its end. You aren't getting anything out of that roster spot anymore.
They're also carrying 3 catchers right now as well. Like,
right.
And one of those catchers in Ali Sanchez literally hasn't played.
Yeah, he hasn't played. Right. And like, I assume if Abreu doesn't go on the IL, but does need to miss time, Eaton is going to take that Sanchez roster spot. But notwithstanding any of that, like,
wait till they put Connor Wong in the outfield. Just
second base. He has played second base in the majors.
Yeah, it's like,
or they'll put him at first and put Romy at second. Didn't Alex Cora say something about Connor Wong playing other positions too?
Yes.
Like, I don't dislike Connor Wong.
Aren't they going to keep Toro though because he's the emergency catcher? He just didn't know about it.
Well, if they have 3 catchers, I don't think they need an emergency catcher. I do though. I will say though, like I do wonder if Nathaniel Lowe, if he comes in, I do wonder if he's more of a like, hey, we're gonna give you a minor league contract, go to Worcester.
It's possible.
A little bit there, right?
It's possible.
Although,
but his WRC plus against righties is still better than Toro's WRC plus against righties, so it's like as
also
bad
too
as
like
did.
They could also Nathaniel Lowe could also take Ali Sanchez's roster spot, and you keep Toro because he could be your backup first baseman / third baseman.
100%,
right?
Yeah,
and I don't think that's
ways to fix this entirely, but so.
But Nathaniel Lowe also can't be your savior. I think there's
no. Unless he's 2021 Jose Iglesias, which who knows? Maybe he will be.
But, is he going to come out with a song in a couple of years then?
Derek, who are the guys who are going to call up? Was it September 1st? Isn't there 2 guys that probably call up?
One of them will be a pitcher. Just because if you have an extra spot for a pitcher, they're going to add a pitcher, right? They can't add 2 pitchers, though. They can only add 1. One of them will be a pitcher. I wouldn't be shocked if it's a Kyle Harrison or a Sandlin, or hell, it could even be an injury activation. David Hamilton seems like the easy choice just in terms of speed guy on the bench. You have the extra bench spot. Hell, chuck him in there. He can steal a base every now and then. He can play second or short if needed, right? Because right now, if you look at their roster, who's their backup shortstop?
Romy
or Cedon, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's where David Hamilton is very much valuable to them right now. He like that, and so I think they could just go with Hamilton, right?
Yeah.
However, maybe it is a Nate Eaton who can play shortstop, right? Maybe it is a Nick Sogard who can't play shortstop. But Christian Campbell's been getting time at first base in AAA. Some of the under the hood numbers aren't as favorable as the actual numbers. So there's something to kind of keep an eye out on there. But he could play first. He could play second. He could play like Campbell is versatile. I think they would want him to play first base. They've also started working Austin Garcia at first base. He is on the 40-man. He did play first base today. First time in his career, right? So there is that option as well. I don't think he's ever going to play for the Red Sox again, but Vaughn Grissom's there. You do have to mention he's on the 40-man, right? So I feel like he's in like the like Bobby Dahlbeck section of like you have to mention him because he's on the 40-man. But like you would be shocked to see him, like the end of Bobby Dahlbeck's stretch, where it was like, yeah, he's never getting called up. I feel like we're in an extended version of that with Vaughn Grissom, where I don't think like I think it's like Grissom very much like you know what he is. He's going to struggle against high velo, but like also I wonder if you face a guy who's throwing like if you face Clayton Kershaw, should you just call like in the World Series? Can you call Vaughn Grissom up just for that game and then phantom injury him after? Joking, obviously. That's kind of rude to Vaun Grissom.
Is that
he's really nice. I've talked to him before. He's really nice.
Right? Yeah, a velocity platoon. You throw over 95, you just can't play. But lefties, righties, no, just velocity. If you throw under 95, you get to play. If the guy throws over, so basically he can't face any reliever after the 6th inning, right?
It depends. There are some teams that have some slower relievers, slow throwing relievers, some soft tossing.
Get him in there against Tyler Rogers.
Yeah, that's exactly
position players. He can, like Kobe Clemens, he'll take him deep.
Oh, he probably would too. That's the thing. Probably, like it's like the Anthony Rendon left-handed homer. It's the most. It's like it's so useless, but it's like if Vaughn Grissom faces a position player, he's absolutely taking him deep. Like absolutely. I feel like would have to happen. But no, I do mention him just like I said, he is on the 40-man. Like you kind of have to mention him. The thing is the Red Sox, their position player kind of group is different from their pitching group because they don't have like someone who's injured who's coming back late in the year. It's Meyer who is now out for the year, and it's Casas who, like, devastating injury. I don't know if Casas is ever going to be himself again, right, in terms of on the field, right? So they're kind of like they have what they have at. Like they legitimately have what they have. There's no guy who's injured who's going to come back and make a difference, and which in some ways is a good thing. You don't have to none of your like Duran's not hurt, Story's not hurt, Bregman's not hurt anymore, right? Which is good. Roman Anthony's not hurt. Like all good things, right? They're all healthy, right? Good, but there also isn't someone who's just going to magically pop up and be like, "Oh, I'm healthy now." Slot him right into the lineup, perfect, fills your hole. So I don't know. Like I said, it feels like to me, I feel like Hamilton's probably the front runner in that case. Just like I said, they don't really have a backup shortstop right now. I do think though it's going to depend on what they do with Toro. Maybe there's someone who becomes available on waivers at some point. A la Jose Iglesias becomes available in September, and he maybe they reach out and see if like Christian Arroyo wants to come back. I'm joking. Please don't do that. I had enough because they'd probably try to put him at first base again.
Disney?
You know what? I would not. Hunter has said this on the minor league show, and I back him on this. Rusty Castillo would have been a fine major league player. It's just they gave him too much money.
Right, yeah.
And they had the CBA loophole.
Yeah.
Like, I would not be against giving him a fair shake. Maybe they could go bring in someone from Japan, like mid-season, acquire someone from Japan. I'm not going to lie. It would be hilarious if MLB teams could trade with teams in other leagues. It would be hilarious. Oh, the Red Sox bring in, this player from, whatever team in Japan. And it's like, oh, this guy's going to be their second baseman now.
Isn't Robinson Cano in the Mexican League too, right?
Yeah. Oh, play him in the Yankees series. Let's go. He can short porch it. He can use a short porch.
Absolutely. They only drug test once a year. We're past the All-Star break. He'll be fine.
Well, technically, they don't. Technically, if you pop, they don't take like the games you played beforehand. Don't get like scrapped from memory. So I mean,
so he'll get banned from the postseason. So problem solved. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Derrik, what do the guys on the minor league show think about first base for the future? You kind of alluded to that Casas might never be the same again.
Yeah.
They got Garcia at first base now. Campbell's kind of there now. Do you think they roll the dice with what they got, or do you think in the offseason they go grab a guy? What do you think?
I think they roll the dice with what they have.
Okay.
Because I think I'll put it like this. I think the idea is Casas and Campbell are your primary players there. If Casas is himself, Campbell can always shift back to second. It does that now. Maybe Meyer is the second baseman, but they still have to re-sign Bregman, right? God forbid that doesn't happen. Meyer probably plays third base. Or Story opts out and gets funky and the Red Sox let him walk, which I don't think is it's a non-zero chance. I'm not saying it's happening, but I do think it's a non-zero chance of it happening, of Story opting out and then becoming a free agent.
So you think as far, just to paint the picture a little more, so then as far as Duran and Garcia goes, you think they're both kind of in the offseason they take off for pitching or for bullpen help or for Joe Ryan deals, or what's going on there?
I think Duran might get moved in the offseason, not in a Joe Ryan deal. I don't think he makes sense for the Twins. Unless the Twins are
what I think is I think with Duran, I think you can get stuff for him, and I think that stuff could help you get Joe Ryan.
Exactly, and that's what I was about to mention. Unless it's, I've been saying, Duran for Angie Painter. Speaking into existence, I've been saying it for it feels like a year now. So I'm not saying trade Duran for Angie Painter straight up. I'm not saying that, but part of me just wants it to happen now, just because I've been saying it for so long. Yeah. It's like I joked, it's the LeVar Ball speaking into existence.
Uh-huh. I just see Garcia as kind of roadblocked here because we have such a long outfield anyway, and then first base he has to leapfrog Casas if he's healthy, Campbell because it's almost like when you give Campbell that money, you got to kind of give him more of a leash, So I love watching the highlights on Twitter and the bombs he's hitting. I love everything he's doing. I love the nickname, but I'm like, where does this guy fit?
Yeah, I think the fit would have to be outfield in a sense of what happens with Rough Center after this year, right? If Duran gets moved, maybe they do decide to keep Garcia and maybe he is the fourth outfielder, right? Because you would think then at that point if Duran gets moved, or maybe Willier gets moved and they keep Duran, however they figure it out, right? You would have, let's just say Duran gets moved just for easiness of Anthony in left, Rafaela in center, Abreu and right. I would assume they still want to platoon Abreu, which gives Garcia ample playing time right there. He can play all three outfield positions. That's not an issue. Very good defensively. So I think, and obviously Roman Anthony can play right field too. If Garcia, for whatever reason, couldn't play right field at Fenway, which I believe he absolutely could, Roman Anthony has proven to be a very good defensive right fielder. So it wouldn't be an issue defensively, even though I don't think it would be an issue regardless with Garcia. So I don't think it's a lock he gets traded. I think it's likely. I don't think it's a lock. I think absolutely Duran or Abreu are getting moved in the offseason. Absolutely. Yeah. I do think for the first base scenario is I think it's kind of hard pressed to bring someone in at first base just because who are you going to bring in? I know people could be like, Peter won.
Al Schwarber at first base 2.0.
Which is god-awful. Which is miserable.
Alonso plays first base, Schwarber's your DH, and we all play video games we're 14 years old and we wear pajamas till 2 in the morning. It works.
If we're going to play video games, if we're going to play video games, Kyle Schwarber's catching. But for the life of me, I don't understand how the Red Sox fans who are like, we should still have Schwarber. It's JD Martinez is why we don't have Schwarber.
Yeah.
If there's anything and you can't even be mad at JD. He had the right to opt into his contract.
Oh.
If the Red Sox really wanted to keep Schwarber, they would have traded JD Martinez. But that also kind of would have been cuckoo at that point.
Now, what I will say,
it kind of would have worked if you looked at the numbers.
It would have worked, but it was. I think it was a little bit cuckoo at the time to think, he opts in, so we're gonna trade him, right? Yeah. So a little bit would have been a little bit cuckoo to think.
Yeah, the players' union would have loved that one.
Yeah, exactly. I think though, the whole, but okay, they bring Schwarber back. What's he gonna play? First base. They have Casas coming up in the system. Remember, Bobby Dahlbeck after 2021, he had a 25 homer season in 2021. I'm not saying Bobby Dahlbeck was going to be the future at first base, but he didn't look miserable.
He had a Will Middlebrooks year, and everybody's like, "This is the future. This is the future." Middlebrooks, like, dude, so this is what you do. You put up big numbers. You find a smoking hot girlfriend, dude, and your life is just set. Your life is set. and then it just all went to shit. At least
But he also wasn't good until they got Schwarber. It was almost like the second they got Schwarber, he's like, "Oh shit, I need to start hitting."
Although, but like they did, but also too, you had Casas in the wings, right?
Right.
And I think a lot of people very much was like, at least me, I was like, yeah, Dahlbeck may be playing well, but you do have Casas in the wings, so like, just what's going to happen with Dahlbeck at that point, right? I always question that.
Do you think that Casas getting hurt this year buys some more time? Because how long could he have sucked that bad before people want to start comparing him to Dahlbeck, or you know what I mean? Like, because he was having a really rough time for extended amount of time.
I wonder how bad the injury from last year though really was, and like
you think he was compensating? Okay.
Well, no, I'm not saying necessarily compensating, but like I wonder if terms like because wasn't like there was talk of like he's like medically he's 100%, but physically there's still something wrong, right? At the end of last year, but he came back late in the year, and I wonder if he came back not because he felt he was ready, but because there was so much pressure on him to come back, where it was kind of like, I don't think I'm ready, but I'm coming back. And we always we talk about on the minor league show, like last year with Christian Campbell at the end of the year, he absolutely could have played the last like week or two of the season. But why? Let him get a fully healthy 100% off season, right? Like, I'm not saying this is like what happened with Casas, but maybe coming back, maybe it threw off his off season a little bit. Maybe I don't know. I'm just hypothesizing. But that injury last year was very weird and very like, what is going on with it? And then, so like, I do wonder if that played a role in it. And then obviously the injury this year. I'm very concerned for Casas' future. It's something where, in terms of the slow start thing, Casas was always a slow starter. Yes, it was getting prolonged, but for me, I wasn't at a point of worry, or at least I wasn't a point of like, oh, like let's throw him some curb, just because it's like he's kind of your only option, but also too, like we've seen what he can do, and he didn't have like the Dahlbeck profile of like massive swing and miss to the point of like striking out like every other at bat, and Casas like could work at bats, right? So even when he was struggling to get hits, you knew he could still draw walks, right? You know, he could still get on base, albeit he can't run anyways because he is very slow, very big human being, which does not, relate to being the fastest base runner, because he is a massive human being. So and Casas, like, I know defensive metrics didn't love him, but he felt a heck of a lot more safe at first base in terms of scooping the ball, making plays, than when they had guys like Christian Arroyo playing first base.
Yeah, he's just a big dude, so he's a big target. That helps.
And it helps, right? I know, like, outs above average is like outs above average is a range stat. If my first baseman doesn't have range, I'm not that concerned, right? In some ways, right? Oh, my first baseman can't get to a ball in the down, like maybe not down the line, maybe a little bit concerning, but like he can't get to the ball in the hole. I'm like, okay, but do you see how big Triston Casas is, right? Like.
So what you're saying is, Derrik, you don't have any trouble with Devers' defensive metrics at first base either.
No, Devers though makes it look ugly. That's there's a difference between like Devers in terms of like also too. Devers' issue was never in terms of like Devers could make the difficult plays at third base. He couldn't make the easy plays. That was the issue with Devers, right? It was like that was always the issue. Like routine grounder, he'd throw it over the first baseman's head. Ball in the hole, he make a diving play, like get up, throw it right on the money, and it's like, why can't you do that every time? Why can't you do that on the normal ones, on the routine plays? I love Raffy, but like, yeah, sometime with him, it was infuriating. It's like you make the play in the hole.
I'm totally in gloat mode. I love the fact that they just suck off. They're just like a horrible shit team now since that trade. I just love the fact that like they're just incomplete in the fucking gutter, and he's doing this like 0 for 17 strikeout thing every once in a while. He has these like massive games where he has 5 RBIs, and then he goes back to being Devers. And then he was like, "Oh well, I've been injury or whatever," which is fine. But
I do find it hilarious though. There's still so much discourse. Someone can put on Twitter, "Oh, Raffy Devers has gone over his last whatever," and people are like, and then half the people will be like, "Oh, the Red Sox won the trade," and the other half will be like. It's like, so what? It's just number. It's just look. It's only a small sample size. Blah blah blah. Red Sox still shouldn't have traded him. It's like, why do we care? Like, yes, we're fans of the Red Sox, but like, that was in June. That's literally 2 months ago. Like,
I
The
just
Red
hope
Sox
they do
don't have him
something-
anymore. Who cares? He's
I
on the
just hope they do
Giants.
something with the supposed savings they're going to have. And I hope it's that they, maybe more extensions or they bring somebody in. It just because it's like, okay, you kind of realize, like you had to move on from that contract, but just don't eat it. Don't sit on it. Don't
Yeah.
don't tease us. I mean, we had 2021, then a bunch of shit. We actually have something to root for this year. We're excited. You go to those parks, they're banged out for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great atmosphere now. Do something.
Yeah. And I will say, like, post Raffy, this team very much has good vibes. And I'm not saying Raffy was the issue. I'm not saying that. But I think I mentioned this to Jason when the trade happened. I don't think I mentioned it on air anywhere, but I think I mentioned it like the 2000. I think was it like the 2004 Rangers when after they traded A-Rod, and it was like Alfonso Soriano was playing amazing, and like that Rangers team was better than they were with A-Rod, even though they just lost A-Rod, who was one of the best players in baseball at that point, right? And I wasn't saying the Red Sox that was going to happen to the Red Sox, but I mean, Roman Anthony coming up, like you didn't have Roman Anthony for the majority of the time Devers was on the team, right? So
I think it's kind of like today, Derek. Jordan's not here, and then we're having like a really good podcast right now. Jordan is like the guy who carries the team. He's celebrating his anniversary, hitting the guy in the nuts with a baseball. Like I know it's a big week for him, but like now that he's not here, now we're just this chemistry is just amazing.
It's a different dynamic. It's a different dynamic, and I think this isn't, like I said, this is not me saying Raffy was the issue, but you have a guy in Bregman who is a legitimate leader, right? Legitimate leader. And this isn't saying Raffy wasn't a leader, but Raffy was also, he was more quiet, more reserved, right? Bregman, I feel like Bregman is the type where, like, if you do something wrong, he's going to go pick your head up, right? He's going to go pick your head up. If he needs to have a stern talking to you, if he needs to talk stern to you, like, he will do it too, right? But I feel like Bregman is, like, he's the more kind of he's a little bit more outspoken. And you add that with a guy like Story, you add in, and then there's the young, like, all this talk about, like, Roman Anthony. They're never going to get rid of Marcelo Meyer because of Roman Anthony, right? And this isn't like this isn't a Marcelo Meyer, like, oh, Meyer isn't good, but because he's Roman Anthony's best friend. But, like, we talked about this on the minor league show so much. Though the big three, when it was Meyer, Anthony, and Teal, and them coming through the minors together, these guys grow really close together. There's a reason Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony are still rooming right now, even though they're in the big leagues. And
one guy knows where the keys are, the other guy doesn't know where his keys are.
Yeah.
There's a car in Worcester somewhere with like a number, what is it, license plate that's just been abandoned in Kelly Square somewhere that nobody knows where the keys are.
Yeah, but like it is very much though, like there's we talked about it like on the minor league show. I talked about it for so long. People say winning in the minor league doesn't matter, but it does in some sense. You cannot have a losing culture, right? Yeah. And the Red Sox, it feels like this year, especially when you have someone like Bregman on the team who proven World Series winner, two-time World Series winner actually, and a proven legitimate leader. And I do think Trevor Story is a legitimate leader, but it's not his fault he didn't win anything. He was with the Rockies, right? It's not his fault, right? But he hasn't won anything, right? He was on the Rockies, which, to be fair, a couple of those Rockies teams were good early in his career, but they're the Rockies. They always find a way.
Derek, do you think that Alex Cora, this is a coup by Cora, and he wanted to get rid of Devers, so he purposely brought in Bregman because he knew that he was never going to – no, I'm serious. That he knew he was never actually going to play second base. He knew he was – you know what I mean? It's just a lot of weird coincidences. And all of a sudden,
what I think happened. Here's what I think happened. I think the front office saw Christian Campbell as the second baseman. And if all else fails, because my thought process going into the offseason is they clearly have to like Vaughn Grissom. My thought process was they have to like him because the way everyone talked about him in Worcester and the way he was getting talked about publicly, it feels like you don't go out of your way to talk about him like that. And I was in Worcester at the end of the year last year. The amount of positivity on Vaughn Grissom was almost wacky. Right.
You had to do that. You had to sell the sale trade, though, didn't you? Didn't you have to basically
No, I don't.
Yeah, you had to give
that's more of a fan perspective. You have to sell the trade because at the end of the day, once you make the trade, you don't need to especially too once the season's played, you don't need to sell the trade. The trade is the trade, right? And what happened. It's in the past, right? Yeah. And I think from an organizational perspective, right, like the Red Sox right now, if the Red Sox were concerned about the Chris Sale trade, Vaughn Grissom would be on the big league roster, right? It's once the guy's in your system, it doesn't matter. It's the whole Kyle Harrison argument, right? People when the Red Sox got, why are they sending him to Worcester? He's the big piece in the Devers trade. They don't care. He's on their team now. It doesn't matter where they got him from, right?
I'm just wondering why the Red Sox front office scouting department didn't know that he couldn't hit anything over 94 miles an hour when they traded for him. That all of a sudden that dawned on them, because like now everybody who does a podcast is like, oh yeah, he can't hit velocity, I never heard that.
I think that was I think
that a new thing, or is that?
I don't know if I don't know what the numbers were when he was with the Braves, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, he had that one home run at Fenway, and I'm like, this guy looks good. And then, like, basically going back to what you're saying, like, Nesson did a whole feature on him. They followed him home from, like, the house or something, and like, oh, this guy's great. And he said all the right things. And then what was it, 2 months ago, Jack? All of a sudden it's like, he's a bad boy. Like, he's saying the wrong
I think that got spun the wrong way, though. Because the Red Sox, like I said, I was on Worcester at the beginning of the year, and the Red Sox literally told Grissom, yeah, we don't care if you don't talk to the media. We don't, like, do your thing. Focus on you, get yourself back to the big leagues, right? So in some ways, the Red Sox have kind of wanted him. He hasn't been like some of the quotes make him seem like a piece of shit. He has not been a piece of shit. Like they make him some of the quotes make him seem like that.
But he's got a reason to be pissed, though, right? Like but he has
a legitimate reason to be pissed because he was passed up for Triston Campbell, and nothing against Triston Campbell, but Campbell had his struggles in the big leagues. They're going to give Campbell a chance at first base, a chance that Von Grissom probably thinks should have went to himself.
Right. Yeah.
They passed him up for Abraham Toro, right? Like, and Abraham Toro was playing third base.
He just has some pride in his game and some confidence and some ego, and he's like, listen, I can do that too. I can suck at the major leagues. I'll suck anybody.
But it's also, too, if you're in AAA, right, and you've been in the you can, like, I don't want my player to have the mindset of, like, oh, I'm not good enough. So this guy's better than me. I guess he deserves it. No, like you have to have belief in your abilities, right? And I think like some of the spin Von Grissom's gotten, and I'm not even saying this is a media spin. Even the way the fan base has spun, like the social media areas of like whether it's Red Sox Twitter or whatever, has spun like some of the quotes Von Grissom made. It's like it's like outrageous. I think the front office though saw Triston Campbell as a second baseman. Cora was like, oh no, Bregman can be the guy. I think they got into spring training. Cora saw what Triston Campbell could do and saw like the upside there and was like, oh, maybe he will be the second baseman, right? And maybe the front office played a part in that of Triston Campbell being the opening second baseman. I think they did, right? And then Cora was kind of forced to pivot, especially when Bregman didn't sign until spring training had already started, right? So I think timeline-wise, I think the Red Sox kind of committed to Campbell at second, and then it's like, oh, no, we are going to sign Bregman, and then it's, okay, kind of want to play second, but, like, I guess I'll play third. Also, wasn't Devers not taking grounders at that point either? No. Like, so, like, you kind of need Bregman at third because, God forbid, something's going on with Devers. Like, you need Bregman to play third. And
Jack,
so
I think what do you think, Jack? Do you think this was all just kind of a, do I have a tinfoil hat on, or am I onto something, or what do you think?
What I think is, no matter what, I think Bregman was more of a Cora guy than a Breslow guy. Yes. I completely believe that. I think it was something Cora fought hard for. He needed an assistant to run everything by him. And
he had no Bogarts anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you see that. He's constantly having conversations with Bregman in the dugout and stuff, that's part of the value and part of why it's so important to extend this guy. It's not just he's your best position player, notwithstanding Crochet, but he's your best position player, but he's your assistant manager and he's your hitting coach, and he's doing he's wearing all these different hats right now. He's working with Meyer and with Anthony, and he's helping Cedon with swing decisions, and he's doing all these different things, and that's what makes him so valuable. I don't know if it was a direct pathway to, we are getting this guy to get rid of this guy, because the big thing to me with Devers and with the extension and with everything is that I think above all else, this ownership group realized, especially after the Pedroia injury, we need to get a Red Sox lifer into the Hall of Fame, because as much as David Ortiz is associated with the Red Sox, he isn't a Red Sox lifer. And Pedroia, he might still get in, maybe as a Veterans Committee guy, but once Machado killed him, it went from this is almost a sure thing to now it's like...
And also Machado's going to get into the Hall of Fame. So.
First ballot. First ballot
Right.
Machado's going to
The
get
people
it.
who deny that are absurd. I'll just say that.
No, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's a piece of shit. He's a first ballot Hall
He's
of
an
Famer.
absolute
Both
piece
can
of
be
crap.
true.
Yes. Which is going to make the Pedroia thing hurt even more.
Totally. So it's like, I think, especially after letting Betts go and making that trade and stuff, who will also obviously be a first ballot Hall of Famer. There's not even a question regarding Mookie Betts. But it's like, okay, Devers, this is our chance. This is going to be a 500 home run guy. This is going to, okay, we got our guy. We got to commit to him because this is our guy. And now it almost looks like, okay, especially after the trade due to salary stuff and him being malcontent and him and Breslow hating each other and whatever it is. Now we're pivoting to, is Roman Anthony their great hope now? And it's definitely possible, but it is.
I just look at it, Jack. I know that it seemed like everybody that I talked to off the record was like, yeah, Cora's leaving. And then all of a sudden Cora was like, I'm coming back. And I really think he's like, well, why should I come back? Well, we got a bunch of kids. He's like, yeah, okay, kids, that's fun. He's like, no, we'll go get Bregman for you. He's like, well, all right. Like, you really had to move the needle. And how long did the Bregman thing kind of drag out? And it was always like, there's no news. No news. But it was always in the spin.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden it's like $40 million for Bregman. It was like such an un-Red Sox thing to do to get him. And it was like, that's kind of like they wouldn't do that unless like gun to their head or they had to do it. You know?
Yeah, and it seems like it was always Cora wanted Bregman. Bregman wanted to be here because he didn't want to go to Detroit, which was really the only other team seriously in by the end because Houston signed Christian Walker and made the Paredes trade and made all their moves and locked in, even though they just got Correa back. So you could argue they should have just kept Bregman.
Albeit that's more injury to Paredes than, you know.
Oh, totally. Yeah. But they're going to have to navigate it next year, though, because they're going to have all those guys under contract.
Paredes could DH and then.
Yeah. You can make it work. Altuve will DH. Paredes will DH. They'll rotate guys.
But yes.
Yeah, I'm not worried. It's the Astros.
It's funny, though, because they bring back Correa. They could have just kept Bregman.
Right. And it's like, I get it. The Astros are Michael Myers. You have to, like, put them in a wood chipper and they'll still come back. It's so annoying. But, yeah, I mean, I think that plays into it because Bregman wanted to be here and there weren't that many suitors. And that's why it took so long, is that, like, he was like, I don't really want to live in Detroit. And I don't necessarily blame him. And so it just got drawn out. But yeah, I think if anyone but Alex Cora was the manager of this team, Alex Bregman wouldn't be here. I do believe that fully.
Yeah. I think that's absolutely a fair assessment. I think though, the other thing too is like, I do think, like, just how the whole spring training stuff, like Devers not taking grounders and, you know, and not his fault, right? But he wasn't taking grounders at that point, and they bring in Bregman. Well, they kind of need Bregman to play some third because, God forbid, Devers isn't ready for opening day or something happens with Devers and he can't play third. They needed Bregman to play third, right? And then it was like the logical option at that point is, well, Raffy can DH. Yoshida, you know, well, I guess Yoshida can play the outfield, right? And it was the logical scenario, right? And Al Yoshida looked solid in spring training, or at least at the very least off my memory. Like, I remember him hitting a homer in spring training, and it's like, you know,
he was healthy.
How healthy enough to DH, not healthy enough to play the field. I don't know.
Right. Just like now.
You know, and it's just like Devers. But like, it was kind of like, I just think like how everything played out, whether it was with Campbell and then Bregman being signed when he was signed because it was so late. And then Devers wasn't taking grounders and just kind of big picture of everything. And then I think the Casas injury was the one where it was really like, but it is really ironic though, because Devers didn't play first base for the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Because, it also is, you know, during the season and, you know, there's a learning curve. He goes to San Fran. Where does he pick up during the season? Playing first base. Now,
Will Clark called him out. That's why.
Well, I don't know how much of a choice Devers had.
Right.
Because they might have just told him, we don't care. We're putting you at first base, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas I think as much as Cora is a player's manager, he might have just gave in to Devers and was just like, I like you, fine. We won't put you at first. I don't think the Red Sox I think the Red Sox saw the relationship was already strained and they weren't like, we're putting you at first base, deal with it, right? I don't think they
especially because I think, and this has obviously been talked to death at this point, but it was always kind of weird that it seems like Breslow had the conversation with Devers first before Cora did, which always felt weird, at least based on what got reported, because it feels like that, if this conversation is going to occur, I feel like it would come better from Cora than it would from Breslow, who
especially when that's a
not
relationship that is a good relationship.
Jack, didn't Henry talk to him as well?
Yeah, they had Henry fly out to Kansas City.
Yeah, so I mean, when the owner flies out, like, listen, dude, like,
yeah,
$30 million, like, can you just play first base, like, whatever, like, no.
Well, also too, though, I think the other thing is, and the big picture too, is like Devers when Heim got that deal done with Devers. We have to remember, it was Heim who got the deal done.
Yeah.
Heim promised Devers he would be the third baseman. Who's in charge of the Red Sox baseball ops? Not Heim Bloom, right? And this happens a lot with front offices that have changed. A player gets promised one thing by a front office, then the person in charge gets booted, and then the next guy comes in and says, "Yeah, we're not doing that promise anymore. Something else is happening." Right? We've seen it time and time again. And I think Devers was kind of Breslow never promised Devers he was the third baseman as far as we know. Or at least he didn't promise him, hey, here's 10 years. You're going to be our third baseman for 10 years. He didn't. Yeah. Breslow did not do that, right? And so in that case, it was definitely, Breslow, I think, kind of coming in, shifted things, and albeit a lot of the front office is the same, I think that maybe caused Devers to think, well, most of the front office is the same. They promised me it. And then Breslow kind of coming in and being like, yeah, we want you to play first. And Breslow's like, and then Devers was like, yeah, but you promised me I'd be the third baseman. And then you moved me to DH and whatever. And then, well, now he's neither the third baseman or the DH, and they want him to play first. And
do you think he's happier? Do you think he's happier now, though? Do you think he's like, hey, Devers, would you still do the deal? He's like, yeah, at least I'm not with the Red Sox anymore. He's looking like it. The shit, team he's on now and the record and I just wonder if he's like, you know what? Like, I mean, I know it's a business. I know, like, when you talk to professional athletes, they're like, I play for a certain amount of time. I perform on my business, on my own brand. But just like looking at things like removed from the situation, if he was playing first base for the Red Sox right now, like things would be they'd be very different here.
He'd also be beloved.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Can we, the Red Sox fan base is very split on Raffy now. They're split. It's very much you either love him still or you are like very resentful towards him. I somehow fall in the middle of it where it's like I love Raffy, but also too like, dude, like come on, why did you take such offense to it? Like take a step back and look at it through like the Red Sox shoes. I thought it was very telling when David Ortiz kind of went scorched earth on him though. Just that feels very telling, because David Ortiz never does that.
Yeah,
well, he's also employed by the Red Sox though too, so I mean he's got to kind
of which makes it even worse.
Right? Yeah,
it makes it even worse because if you're employed by the Red Sox,
with like Mookie or with Xander, where like
but nobody ever leaves here on good terms when they leave the Red Sox. I mean, that's just a thing, right? Like whether you're Mo Vaughn or whether you're Nomar Garciaparra or you're John Lester or Manny, or I mean like very very like. Yeah, I'm like, how do they get these legends to come back at the Red Sox games? Oh, because like they burn everybody on the way out.
Oh, here comes Ellsbury back. It's like, well, the thing is, Ellsbury's welcome back because he sucked for the Yankees,
which was fine. Well, speaking of sucking for the Yankees, I didn't realize how bad Max Fried was recently. Holy shit, he fell off the fucking map, huh? Like I was like, I want him. I hate Walker Buehler, and then I looked like his stats over the past month. I know the Yankees won 3 in a row, but he's been awful for the Yankees recently. Awful.
Yeah. I mean, hey, the good thing about Max Fried, though, hey, you can win a Gold Glove at pitcher. Because if you need defense, Max Fried's your guy. But it's Matt. I had a joke that Max Fried was going to be like Maddox had he stayed with the Braves. He's just going to win the Gold Glove every single year at pitcher, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. I don't understand. I don't understand how they decide what pitcher wins the Gold Glove. Like, actually, I don't. That makes no sense to me. Well, like they have pitcher defensive runs saved. That's what makes no sense.
Yeah, but vibes.
Like, true vibes, but like Max Fried has 6 defensive runs saved.
Yeah.
Like Luis Severino has 7. Like Like Logan Webb has 4. Like Quinn Priester has 4 defensive runs saved.
And Rafael Palmeiro played 20 games at first base and won a Gold Glove. It's just a popularity contest. That's all it is.
It is true. Framber Valdez has -4. So does Sandy Alcantara. So Garrett Crochet is -3. So apparently Garrett Crochet is not good.
We should get rid of that guy.
They should.
Yeah,
I would.
It's Walker Bueller's.
Yeah.
His innings limit already. They should just shut him down for the year.
Yeah. Like, hey, Framber Valdez also sucks defensively, apparently. So maybe he'd be a good fit.
Maybe that's the kind of pitcher we should go after then. We should just get lefties who can't play defense.
Let's see. Framber. Alcantara also, he's not lefty, but he sucks defensively as well. Crochet. Zach Gallen also sucks defensively. Joe Ryan's -2 defensive run save.
Don't be talking about Zach Gallen back. Jordan will come after you. Zach Gallen is Jordan's guy. You gotta easy on the Zach Gallen hate. You know, he's in the trust.
Oh no, trust me. The Diamondbacks are my National League team. I love Zach Gallen, but I'm very concerned about. I would be very concerned about his year, though. I'm very concerned about his year. There's a reason he didn't get traded at the deadline. I think they're going to QO him and then hope and praise he comes back, plays amazing, and if they're good, great, and if they're bad, they hope he's good and they can trade him at the deadline.
Yeah.
Derrik, I got a question for you. I know we're kind of way off topic, but do you see in the offseason next year some really wild contracts because of the lockout coming?
Maybe.
Like some really stupid deals, like a 1 year.
I don't want to say
some insane.
not like that.
They know they're not going to
I
play.
think you're more likely to see a long-term deal before a lockout because I'll use this like the idea of this. I feel like there's gonna be young players, for example, right? Who nobody knows what's gonna happen with the pre-free agency stuff. There might be some younger players who teams are interested in extending, and teams just go, teams are going to be scared of the new upcoming CBA because maybe they lose a year of control. Maybe there's what happens with arbitration, right? Who knows, right? I've floated to Jason. I'm like, it would be fun if they had restricted free agency instead of arbitration. I've like floated that would be a fun idea. Not that I think it'll happen. I just think it would be fun. But like, we don't know what's going to happen, right? So teams might be pressed. Hey, Red Sox might be pressed. Like, hey, Marcelo, like, we really like you. Like, let's get you done long term, right? And get it locked in. And I think the players in that case, they have a little bit of leverage, but at the same time, too, if they're young in their career, it's guaranteed money, right? So there's a part of me that thinks that you maybe not from the free agent side of things, but there might be like a little bit of a wave maybe of like extensions for younger players because the teams I think are going to be scared of because you already have all this stuff with you win rookie of the year or you finish second or whatever and you get the full year of control even if you weren't up for the entire year and like everything that's going on with that. And it very much feels like teams are losing control of the younger players.
Right.
And I think the teams are desperate for that control. And the only way to really do it now, I think, is lock in an extension.
Yep.
Right. So like Roman Anthony, it doesn't matter now whether or not he gets the full year of service time. That doesn't matter anymore. Right. So I think in that case, and it's not just rookies and guys after their first year. I think you'll maybe see some second and third year players even sign like maybe it's a guy who's played 3 years who signs like a 5-year extension or something like that. I wouldn't be shocked if that's what happens just because teams are so scared of losing that control. They're willing to pay maybe a little bit more of a premium to lock down that control because they might not have it after the lockout. That's what I'm thinking at least. Manfred and his salary cap talks. Also, how is a salary cap going to work if teams are already spending over what they would want the salary cap to be? Like
it can't.
I don't get it. Unless they want to do NBA style soft cap. Yeah. Which they don't want. They want a hard cap. I don't know. How does deferred contracts play? That's an interesting one too. I think that's deferred contracts. That's the deferred contracts are going to be the interesting one here at the next CBA because
the deferred money are 5 times the value. And then
I can't.
Like, all right.
The Ohtani deal. He gets $2 million a year for the 10 years he's with the team, and then the 10 years after he gets $68 a year. Hey, shout out for Shohei because Shohei was the one who said that's what he wanted to do. So
it's a pretty big gamble for Shohei, wouldn't you say?
Not really, because look how much money he gets endorsement wise. I mean, it's not really a gamble.
You should just let it ride and see what happens.
You know what's wild is Shohei might make. I wouldn't be shocked if Shohei made more endorsement money than the rest of the league combined. That somehow wouldn't shock me.
Yeah,
It's possible. Yeah.
I'll use the example. What do the Dodgers want Munetaka Murakami? I know they have Freddie Freeman at first base. I know Murakami, everyone thinks he's going to play first, but he plays third in Japan. He's miserable defensively, but like the Dodgers have had Max Muncy.
You can see now.
That is true, but didn't they try to play Max Muncy at second base like a few years ago? Maybe that's what they did.
Max Muncy, Mookie Betts, up the middle defense in 2026 is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life, but why not?
No. My thought process was they moved Mookie back to the outfield. They run like Teoscar, Pajes, and Mookie in the outfield.
Yeah.
Because right now they have Conforto playing the outfield.
So
to be honest, he sucks. He's god awful. They could put Tommy Edman at short and just play Mookie in the outfield. But I don't know. They just wait for the Dodgers to sign Murakami and everyone loses their minds again. Oh, but he cannot play there. He's stone hands. It's like fielding with a brick instead of a glove. He's that bad defensively. Everyone was like, "Oh, Japanese players are good defensively," and then they're like, "So Yoshida will be able to play left field at Fenway, right?" This is stereotyping is not good, people. Okay, stereotyping is not good, even if it's a positive stereotype. Okay,
if you come away learning one thing from the Pesky report, stereotyping
is not good. Because remember, people are like, well, Yoshida defense might be bad in Japan, but bad in Japan's okay in the U.S. or good in the U.S. And it's like, that's not how it works.
When you're only allowed 2 foreign players on your team in that league, there's a talent discrepancy.
So I think it's 4, but yeah.
There's a 4 now, but
you're allowed 4. I think it's 4 on your game day roster, and you're allowed 5 in your organization.
Oh.
So hey, Jeter Downs, how you doing? He's on the same team. That team has Roberto Ozuna as well.
Oh God.
They're a mess. They also Darwinson Hernandez is out there in Japan. He's not having the best of years this year. He hasn't been bad this year. He was really good last year though. Maybe that'll be the Red Sox bullpen edition.
Do they still have the first baseman out there who's hit like 50 home runs a couple years ago? Is he still out there? Okay, yeah, because I was following the. I'm horrible with the name.
He was hurt this year.
Yeah, the guy the guy that signed with the Dodgers, who the Red Sox were talking to, is Yamamoto.
Yeah,
I was following him on the Nippon stats, and then I saw that other guy, and I'm like, 50 home runs, like holy shit.
Yeah, he had 56. It was the most Japanese-born player ever.
Yeah, that was amazing.
So the thing with Murakami is, so he had kind of like a down year last year. Then he came into this year, he was hurt. Then he comes back his first 2 games, and this is only like in this month he came back. He missed he's missed like the majority of the season, and his first 2 games he hits homers.
Yep.
And it seems like he might be back to being his old self, and if that's the case, some team could get a discount. But when I say there's swing and miss there,
a lot, right? Yeah.
Oh my goodness, there's a lot. And there's a lot of swing and miss in Japan, right? They play more to contact.
Yep.
They play more to contact in Japan. Also, although hitting 56 homers with a dead ball is impressive.
Yep.
There's also that. That is very impressive with the dead
Derrik,
ball.
was there another guy who skipped Japanese baseball and went to the United States? Is that another guy?
Charles Sasaki.
Did he do anything when he got to the States, or?
He's playing for Stanford.
But is he decent, or is he not?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I don't follow college baseball. I don't follow.
It was his freshman year. So he played pretty much every day. I think he was in the middle of their lineup. Well, I don't know what his numbers were, but like the fact that I think he was like their everyday first baseman.
Right. But like that's so atypical. The only thing that's even comparable is like when was it Tozawa? He went to like basically like a glorified park league or like the Yaki league, and then went to the majors. Like he never played Japanese professional baseball. Yeah. Most of those guys, they come out of that tournament when they're like 18 and they go they get drafted, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so you have the NPB draft, but so when Taro Sasaki forewent the draft, which is like frowned upon in Japan, because Shohei considered doing it, but because it was seen as being so frowned upon. So what happens in the NPB draft? It's different than the MLB draft. All 12 teams make their pick at the exact same time.
Right.
So every single team reveals who they pick. And if you don't pick the same player as anyone else, you get that player. If you pick the same, so let's say 3 teams pick the same player, it goes to a lottery, an even lottery. Each team has a third chance to win, and it's a lottery. Whatever team wins against that player, the two teams that don't get that player then have to pick from the rest of the players available, which means you're at a disadvantage because instead of picking someone at the same time as everyone else, now everyone else has already made their picks. And this, like, lotteries like this can happen. Like, 4 teams pick the same guy, 1 team gets him. Then out of those 3 teams, 2 teams pick the same guy. So then there's another lottery. And then after that, the second round, then it starts like a normal draft where the worst team has the first pick.
Jack, can you see the face of the poor girl who has to listen to Derrik explain that, who's on a date with him, and how Derrik is so excited and she has to pretend that she actually cares what he's saying? Because like I thought that was interesting. Derrik did. I don't know, Jack. You're like, okay, that's cool. But like he has to like, he's like, they picked 12 guys in a row, and she's like,
it is the. I'm not gonna lie. Part of me wants it in the MLB draft just for the chaos.
It's confusing, is what it is. Yeah,
it's confusing as hell. There's a YouTube channel that has a video on it that covers Japanese baseball in English. That had a video on it. There's a good Twitter account. It's Yaku Cosmopolitan, I think.
I actually follow that, believe it or not. Yeah.
Yes. He has a YouTube video on it. Real good.
When there's a Japanese guy who's in rumors of the Red Sox, you go on Twitter and you just click. You're like, all right, I like this guy, and then all of a sudden you get all you're right.
Yes. So the MPB draft is very weird. So like Shohei, only 1 team picked him because he basically it was a known thing. Like, yeah, he had to have it like written into his contract. 1, that he would be allowed to play 2 ways. He'd be allowed to both pitch and hit because that was a big thing for him. And then he wanted to be posted early as well. That was the other thing. So basically what ended up happening is only 1 team picked Shohei, even though he was the best player in his draft. So Sasaki, but like we've also seen, so here's an interesting thing. And here's what I find interesting, especially if there's a lockout coming up. I don't know what's going to happen with the MLB draft. I don't know if either of you guys follow draft, but would the name Carter Stewart ring a bell?
No.
So this is a kid who was like the 8th overall pick to the Braves in I think 2017, I think it was. Well, the Braves ran through his physical. They promised him like $5 million. Went through his physical, didn't like it. They dropped their offer to like $3 million. He didn't sign. So what ended up happening was he didn't want to sign for $3 million. So instead of going to college as a high school student, because he was a high schooler, he went and signed for the SoftBank Hawks in Japan on like a 6-year deal for like just over $1 million per season, like $1 million US per season. And now he's been playing in Japan in this tournament. He's still like only 23 or 24 years old, and he's turned himself into a solid pitcher in Japan.
Cool.
Which is like, that's another like interesting one because that's like the inverse of it.
Yeah,
he declined the MLB team because they dropped his offer. Gets his money in Japan, which that's a guaranteed contract, and he plays in Japan, and he's in their rotation. And even when he was on the farm team when he was like 18, he still gets that $1 million. Right? It's not like there's a lessened pay when you're on the farm team.
Does he have to be there for 7 years or whatever before he's eligible for the major league draft because of the rules?
Well, so he wouldn't be eligible for the major league draft. He would get posted. I don't know how that works because he's American, but I do know that I think he signed another contract though with them. I think he signed like a 3-year extension or whatever. But he's still I think he's still like 24 or something, so it wouldn't be like an issue. The only issue is his team like doesn't really like they don't really like post players, I guess. I guess is the
okay. They give him the bond.
This year he's got a 195 ERA and 120 innings.
But like the league ERA in Japan though is most guys it's a pitcher's league, right? So I mean
that it is true, but still
a sub 2 like it sounds.
Yeah, but it's not as impressive as it sounds. But sub 2 ERA is still very good.
Like I watched some of Yamamoto's stats and I'm like, wow, this guy's gonna win like 10 Cy Youngs in a row, and then it's like, okay, I think the first start he had he was like, eh. I mean, he's been good.
No, you take out his first career start. He's got like a 250 career MLB ERA.
Yeah.
He's still insane.
The guy on the Cubs, that was the guy to get. Like the Sox should have grabbed him. Oh my god, that would have been awesome.
Well, he had home run concern. I think that was the big issue because even in Japan, he was a fly ball.
You slot him in our rotation, like it just solves a lot of problems.
Yeah, I think financially, it would looking back, hindsight's 2020. Like
I loved Senga coming out of Japan. Like Senga was my one that I was like, oh my god, get this man high him.
I had the dreams of Yamamoto. I didn't think it was going to happen, but I had the dreams of it.
I did too. I didn't think it was going to happen.
I know. I don't think anyone with the right mind was like, "Oh, it's going to happen." But like,
I think especially after switching from Heim to Craig, I really lost all hope.
Also, too, when you realize that it was like, oh yeah, like when he signed for 12 years, 325, it's like, yeah, the Red Sox really going to do that. Albeit, can I just say that deal? Like, he signs that at 25. This isn't a 31-year-old signing a 10-year deal. This is a 25-year-old signing a 12-year. Like, Yamamoto is going to be good for pretty much that entire contract for the Dodgers. And
barring injury.
Yeah, barring injury. And it pisses me off because even though – so here's the thing, though. Yamamoto, when you look now at Craig's system, does not fit. He's short. He's not a big person, right?
Yeah, he's tiny. Derrik, the guy I know you had said you had COVID, but that unit they had on the minor league show, that guy is a bus.
Marcus Phillips?
Whoa! Like, I want to. This is. I don't know if you guys have ever been to the Nordic Lodge in Rhode Island. There, the buffet place. There's like a 3-hour time limit because of Vince Wolfwork. I mean, like, you got to take this guy there and do a podcast. All you can eat lobster, prime rib, everything you can possibly imagine. Like that guy would be perfect there. I mean, I looked at him. I'm like, he's huge. And then the second round pick, he's a tank too. The first and the second. There's a Witherspoon is the first one, and then Witherspoon. Yeah. But I love those Peyton Tolley guys. And like I was giving Jordan shit. I'm like, Jordan, you're not draft eligible for the Red Sox anymore because you lost a ton of weight.
It's not even weight; it's more of a height thing.
Jack could never play for the Red Sox. I could probably play weight wise, but not height wise. But those other guys are just units.
Yeah, I mean, Tolley's massive, right? Like,
just
tall,
huge.
Yeah, it's absurd. I think Witherspoon, I think, is the smallest guy they took, and he's like 6'2", and he's the smallest guy. And it's like, at least on the pitcher side of things, he's the smallest. He's 6'2", and it's like,
but you're right. Yamamoto's tiny.
Yeah, but like, so Yamamoto is weird though because he's got like all these like workouts that he does, and like I saw like one time like he was like he strengthens his arm by throwing the javelin, and I'm like,
sick as hell.
I'm like, what? And it's like no one else does it, but it's like because Yamamoto is like I'll just say this, Yamamoto, his like you look at his mechanics, it literally like I feel like if you were to teach like picture perfect mechanics, I feel like you would get Yamamoto's mechanics, or at least closer to that than any other pitcher in the big leagues. I
think it's a Japanese thing. It's like the base running of our Japanese outfielder is perfect. You know, it's like it's exactly how you want to teach the little leaguers to run. It's
besides the fact his feet barely move, but yes.
It's an illusion because the belt is up here. It's an illusion.
Yes.
The belt is so high. But
yeah,
no, you're right. But fundamentally, the Japanese players are great. But then there's other examples, like a guy like, Ichiro. You would never teach anybody to hit like that, but it worked perfect for him.
Yeah. I swear if Ichiro would have swung normal, he probably would have hit 30 homers a year. Like that's
I believe it. I mean, the craziest thing is to see the stuff he does after he retired. Where it was like a couple of years ago, I think he pitched in a game. And then, did you ever see that one drill where he's got the bat with the ball on top of it, and he hits every single one?
Oh, it's absurd.
Yeah, and I'm like, he's just like screwing around, just like because he's bored.
Yeah. Well, like look at Shohei. Nobody would teach anyone to hit like Shohei. I swear, Shohei is the one hitter. I'll say that I've seen Shohei play twice in person. He's the one hitter that every time he's up, every time he swings, I think he's hitting a home run. Like, I haven't seen Judge play in person, so I can't say it on Judge or whatever, but he's the one player I've seen in person. I've seen Mike Trout play in person. Shohei's the one player where it's like every time he swings, I think he's hitting a home run.
He has such a weird swing, though, because I went to that Dodgers game at Fenway, and him and who's the other guy that's on the Dodgers there? They have another Japanese hitter. And like they swing they're all upper body. It's a weird swing.
They have Hae-Sung Kim, who's Korean.
That's the guy too. We saw him. I'm like, what? Like that's just a weird way to hit. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, they get to the.
Ohtani feels like he's all torque because he turns so viciously, like his hips go. The most impressive thing.
He's a big guy too, Derrik. Just for
no, he is too. The most impressive thing I've ever seen from
Ohtani.
The most impressive thing I've seen from Ohtani is at the Trop. Ohtani, there was a pitch from a Rays pitcher. My memory said it was like 3 or 4 inches off the plate inside. It was probably right on the black of the but he literally swung, pulled his hands in, and went oppo taco for a homer. And it wasn't like one of those like wall scrapers either. And I'm like,
do you remember the ball? Do you remember the ball that Devers hit out that was 3 inches off the plate and he pulled for a home run?
Yeah.
I think
that's impressive. But part of me thinks taking an inside pitch, getting your hands in, and then going opposite field is even wackier.
Yeah. Well, you figure lefties. I mean, yeah, especially at Fenway. I mean, I've seen that they go the other way. You actually you wait on the ball so you can hit the ball the other way. But you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, but like in taking a pitch that's like inside and like because Shohei opens up to pull the ball, which is I think what makes like Devers like I could see Devers pulling anything. I could see Shohei pulling anything, but Shohei going the other way on a pitch on the inside part of the plate when he's trying to pull the ball, but he still hits it for a homer. I'm like, that's absurd, right? I do want to kind of circle this back to the Red Sox though, because the Red Sox we're talking about people like Ohtani who can feel like Ohtani doesn't swing as many like bad pitches as Devers, but I feel like Ohtani could hit those pitches just Devers can. The Red Sox have a guy, Roman Anthony, who feels like he never, for the most part, never swings at bad pitches. For the most part, right?
Statistically, I think he's like top 5 in baseball, right? His swinging pitches in was it outside? He's like in the top 5 of swinging pitches. I don't know how to say this. Basically, he doesn't swing at pitches outside the strike zone, but he's like the top 5 in the league. However you phrase that.
Translate
that. Yeah.
His chase rate's only 19%.
Yeah, which is next level for a Major League Baseball player, let alone a rookie.
Yes, it's absurd. And I think that it's like one of those things too, where it's funny if you look at his Baseball Savant page, he does have he has had some swing and miss, but the swing and miss isn't concerning because he doesn't chase anything. A lot of players swing and miss comes because they're chasing. Roman Anthony's swing and miss is okay, he missed it, but you know what? He's still making good swing decisions, so I'm not concerned, right? I love Cedon, right? Although, albeit Cedon's different because he hits everything, right? But
the swinging bunts by Cedon are next level.
Oh my God!
He totally swings from the heels, and it's a perfect bunt, and he's still on base and gets the base first league.
See, this was the problem with Cedon in the minor leagues, and I love him, but he would swing at some pitches he had no business swinging at, and he'd get a hit. And it's it's hard to tell a young player when they get a hit, you're not supposed to swing at that pitch, right? And then for them to listen as well, it's difficult. And obviously, it's kind of Rafaela's MO, like, hey, swing at that, whatever. But it's very much like seeing how impressive Roman Anthony is. And I mean, I've seen it all throughout the minor leagues, but like, doing it in the big league still is a different level, right? It's still a different level. The pitches move more; they're harder to hit.
Thinking, Derrik, like how many mistakes I've seen him make. There was the ball that he overran in right field, like I think his first game, and then there was the bases loaded at bat where he swung at a pitch that was like a foot inside. But like outside of that, I can't really think of any other mental mistakes that he made since he's been up here. To me,
it's absurd, and it's funny because people are like, well, he's not like I saw like someone say, yeah, Roman Anthony's great, but he's number 1 prospect for sure, but he's not like a Bryce Harper level prospect. I'm like, how is that a knock on him? Like, saying someone's not a Bryce Harper, do we remember how highly touted Bryce Harper was? Like, that's not Bryce Harper went to JUCO instead of going to his senior year of high school. He went to JUCO instead. Like, Bryce Harper's not human. Like, also too, like, or it's like, so like, oh, he's not, when people are saying who's the best prospect you ever seen last year, a bunch of people were saying Christian Campbell, and I'm like, Roman Anthony's literally in the system, and this is not a shot against Christian Campbell at all, but it's like, hello, Roman Anthony's right there, like, but then I remember that thing, like a bunch of people said Harper, and then like I think the most answered thing was like Byron Buxton, and I'm like, yeah, Roman Anthony's not Byron Buxton, but like nobody was prospect Byron Buxton. Right, like it's not a fair comparison. Roman Anthony was the number 1 prospect in baseball, but the knock on him, he's not a Bryce Harper level prospect. He's not a Byron Buxton level prospect. It's like, yeah, but no one is.
Derrik, how big is the rebound do you think on Campbell's offense next year?
I think he'll be fine. I think though too. I think you see it too. Like, I mean, I don't want to use this comparison because they're totally different players, right? But like, you look at like guys like a PCA, and I know we struggled as of late, but like the difference in first year to second year, or like Cedon even, right? Total different type of player, obviously, but like the difference from first year to second year. Obviously, like Campbell, like not the entire year in the big leagues, but I feel like you learn something about yourself when you're in the big leagues for that long, and I think we'll see it with Roman Anthony even because coming into next year, pitchers aren't going to pitch Roman Anthony the same way they pitched him in his first month in the big leagues, right? It's natural. So I think it's kind of like I'll go back to someone like a Devers or a Shohei or Mike Trout or someone like that. Pitchers pitch them the way they pitch them because, okay, we're just going to pitch you to your weakest part and we're going to hope you don't do good. But if we miss and you hit a homer, I mean, I guess it's on us, right? With Campbell, someone like a Campbell, like pitchers kind of figured him out. It's now his turn to kind of, I guess, return it and be like, okay, I've solved that problem, right? With guys like a Shohei, for example, he's so good at so many things where there's not really a hole, and then the only hole is still good. It just might not be great, right? Obviously, every hitter, like you look at someone like a Sadon, yeah, the chase rate's bad, but like not every pitcher is going to get him to chase because you still have to throw a competitive pitch somewhat, right? You can't just throw a fastball in the dirt, right? You can't just throw a fastball over his head. Like, you know what I mean? So with Triston Campbell, it's very much, I think, there'll be some sort of adjustment in the offseason, or there already has been, I think, an adjustment. But I think it's just kind of learning how to deal with how pitchers are going to attack him. And for some guys, it does take a little bit of time, and I don't think it's a concern. People can bring up the contract, but it goes back to the whole trade thing of like the Vaughn Grissom thing. Well, they traded him for Chris Sale. Should they why optics, whatever? It's like they don't care, right? With Triston Campbell, they gave him the money now, but like it's like okay, but like you still need to perform, and if you're not going to perform, we're not going to play you. But there's also in some ways the leash be a little bit longer, yes, but at the same time too, they're not going to be like, oh, we gave you this money, so you have to be an all-star. It's very much, no, just be Triston Campbell, right? There's not like extra pressure because he got paid. It's just be Triston Campbell and they'll be happy with that. I think that's the biggest thing. Sometimes getting a big contract like that puts pressure on guys. And we talked a little bit about with Devers and whatever, maybe the clubhouse wasn't the best place for someone like a Triston Campbell at the beginning of the year. It seems right now, like I said, the team vibes are higher. This isn't a shot at Devers, right? Just it's a different dynamic, right? And it feels like, especially too with guys like Roman Anthony coming up having success. Marcelo wasn't great at the plate, but defensively was stellar and had his moments, right? The vibe is different, right? It feels just like the team just has good vibes. They feel energetic like a young team should, right? And maybe that'll help someone like a Triston Campbell next year, right? Because I don't think the vibe will really change that much because it's going to be a large part kind of the same group, right? So I think in Triston Campbell, I'm not concerned. I think he'll be fine. In all honesty, long term, I think we'll be fine. That's kind of how I see it. I do want to start kind of wrapping this up. We're over an hour and a half. We have gone long. Typical when I'm on a show, everything goes long. You can ask Jason about that. We're kings at going long. Any kind of final thoughts to wrap up on the series, the upcoming week, considering the Red Sox now have the Orioles and then the Yankees? Any final thoughts?
I mean, just looking at the series coming up, I was like, okay, it's Baltimore. They're in last place. Probably feels okay. And then I didn't know Trevor Rogers is good now. That was news to me. I know he got like a good card in MLB The Show a couple weeks ago. That was the extent of it. Shit, he's 5-2 with a 1.43 ERA this year. Like shit. Is the Kyle Stowers trade? Yeah. Is the Kyle Stowers trade not a complete disaster anymore? I mean, shit. So I don't feel great about tomorrow seeing that.
I will say he has a 370 Sierra, which is good, but it makes me feel like, okay, come on. Where's the bad luck here?
Yeah, I'm freaked out seeing a 2-game.
He's got 212 BABIP against. Where's the bad luck? Come on, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay. We'll see Rob and Romy in the lineup and stuff. We'll have the lefty slayers in full force. But
ref's gonna get hot.
I guess I picked the wrong game to go to, huh? Jeez, man. I thought it was gonna be a May Day. I thought it would be all set to go. And you're right.
No, Justin May's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, I'm like shit. And then Sagana has been better as of late, and Bueller has been Bueller. It's like this is. Given the pitching matchups, not ideal. You are at home against the last place team. You should still at least split these two. But it's like when I look at them, I'm like, if they dropped both of these games, would I be shocked? No, which sucks because I don't want that to happen. But like, I don't have a ton of confidence in May or Bueller.
See, I have confidence in May. I just don't have confidence in May going deep into a start.
Yeah, we usually always wrap up the upcoming series, but I kind of agree with Jack. I'm not feeling too great about this next series coming up, and then you get the Yankees. So you really got to beat the shit out of the Orioles because
I feel better about the Yankees series than I do about the
that's what I mean. That's what I'm
too.
saying. Yeah, so I'm kind of like, all right, like,
but like you have Bayo,
sexy,
Giolito, and Crochet pitching in that 4-game series,
right?
And you don't have Bueller. You have May in the last game.
Yeah.
Although, and then Bueller's going to get Baltimore again. So Lord knows when one of those two starts against Baltimore are going to go miserable, whether it's this week or next week.
Or both.
Well, we like to be somewhat positive. We want to be somewhat positive.
It's hard to be positive when it's August 17th and Walker Bueller is still in your rotation when you have Criswell and you have Fitz
Kyle
and you have
Harrison.
Criswell's got to get another shot, man. He had that game that I went to. What was it, a couple weeks ago, man?
Against Houston.
Oh man,
I think Harrison's going to get a shot soon. I think he'll get a shot because he's been looking a lot better in Worcester as well.
Yeah, so. It's just like if you want to win a World Series, I don't see how Walker Bueller is in your rotation.
He'll be in the bullpen time when it comes to postseason. My hot take is Dustin May is going to be in the bullpen as well.
Okay.
So who's the fourth starter, Harrison?
I don't think it's necessarily going to be a specific person. I think it's going to be started.
They go last year's Dodgers route of 3 starters and fuck it, we ball.
Well,
Derrik,
the Tigers last year were Tariq Skubal in. Who the fuck cares?
It was Skubal and
it was Skubal and a prayer.
Yeah. Derrik, what would you offer for the Walker Bueller World Series ring at Pawn Stars a couple of years from now? That's sitting in the case. Would you offer $500 for it? Would you offer $100 for it?
No, because I have student loans I'm going to need to pay back by then. So,
because we always joke. Jordan and I were talking. There was a guy who Jack. What year was that? Where the guy won the World Series with the Red Sox and he ended up doing stuff with people of a certain age, and it was like the guy tried to pawn the ring, and he was trying to pawn the ring on Pawn Stars, and then when they go, who is this guy, and they Googled him, and the guy was like, I don't want it. like they didn't want the World Series ring. It was awful.
That's wild.
Yeah. It had diamonds in the hole in the logo, and he's like, I don't know. I'm just not really. I don't think that would add to the collection. I don't think
Just like I'm good. Nothing.
Yeah, you can
you have a real World Series ring, and even the pawn shop doesn't want it. That's a rough one. Yeah. So, do we want to officially predict? Are the Red Sox splitting? They winning 2 or they losing 2?
I'm gonna say a split, but I don't feel good about it. I think there's a really good chance they lose both these.
There's like a trap series.
It really does. It feels like such a trap series, especially only 2 games. Like in a 3 game, it would be like, okay, they're gonna win 1. They're not gonna get swept, but like in a 2 game, I don't know.
2 games. I still think 2-game series are stupid. I also think 4-game series are stupid, but that's besides the point. Brian, what are you thinking they're gonna split as well?
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were going to sweep this series, and of course, they screwed up the day before, and the whole Chapman thing we got into, and it was basically like, okay, if somebody could do their job, Chapman would have done his job today. I guess Chapman will be rested for tomorrow, right? So maybe we win the first game, but after that, I don't know. Let's see what happens. But yeah, I think probably a split, but it'd be nice to win, get some momentum here going to the Yankees series. Let's beat the shit out of the Orioles.
Walker Bueller's going to throw a no-hitter on Tuesday.
Probably, yeah.
That would be the most Walker Bueller thing ever.
Exactly. And then it's just kind of, let's bury the Yankees here. Let's get more of a gap because now they've closed the gap. I think they won 3 in a row. I think the Yankees have, and it's just kind of like, come on, guys. Like we got our foot on the throat here. Let's do this. But they're the Red Sox, so they're like, just gonna hang out, have a few drinks, have a few laughs, And it's like, come on, let's do this.
That's true. Yeah, I kind of feel the same. Feel like it's a split. I feel like 2-game series. 2-game series kind of suck because it's like you very well could lose both games, and it's like, but like you could lose both games in ways where you could still feel good about those 2 games. And you could, but then you still it's swept, and it just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. But I think odds are too with it being a 2-game series. I feel like most 2-game series end up being splits, just the nature of a 2-game series. So yeah, I think that's a good place to actually wrap it up. I think I forgot to mention The Pesky Report brought to you by Beyond the Monster. Once again, Derrik forgets that. What else is new? Come back from hiatus.
Before you guys wrap up, though, just quickly, the whole mayor getting out for the season. I just was curious what you guys thought about that. Before we wrap up, what do you think, Jack?
I thought it was expected.
It felt like this is where we were heading.
Yeah, that's how I felt. Yeah.
It sucks because there was plenty to be encouraged by with how he was playing, especially with the glove.
Yep.
But it is what it is. It sucks that he hasn't gotten through a season healthy to this point, and
right, exactly.
I'm not going to be as reactionary as certain accounts on the Twitter here or today. But no, it is something you have to consider about with Meyer and with Casas, that like these are two guys who you want to think are a big part of your future, but there is that big like, can they get through a 162 game season healthy? And we haven't seen that out of either of those guys yet.
Right.
Definitely. It's definitely a concern, but yeah, I think with just him missing most of the season, I don't think it's a shock. I think that's a perfect place to wrap it up then. Thanks, Brian, for bringing that up, because I did mention we were going to bring it up and we never did. For Brian and for Jack, my name is Derrik. Jordan should be back next weekend. I will see you everyone tomorrow on the Minor League Show. So with that, thanks for tuning into the Pesky Report, and we will see you next time.